This is so dumb.
Why?
So they included this list. Like, these are all of the words ever that were around in the 70s for hangman. Like, they don't want you to use any other words.
But that seems like a very limited list.
Right.
I mean, even back in the 70s, I think, is when this came out.
I think, like, back when people learned to write is when this came out. You don't even need this.
No, but look, the fans, all of the people, all the little Hulkamaniacs out there in the Bodhana-verse, they've been asking, can you please, for us, can you review Hangman? Especially the Vincent Price box version.
I want you, the Vincent Price box.
Yeah, I'm not kidding you. Look, it's Vincent Price, and he's a cowboy. Because he's so known for his westerns.
I want you to show me, right now, one write-in, email, request, Facebook message.
All I need is one?
Smoke screen, anything that shows me that somebody out there said, for the love of God, please review Vincent Price box Hangman.
Do I have enough time to search for an email that in no way would be one written by me? Perhaps I've showed my hand.
Yes, now that I've thought about what you said.
Okay.
You have as much time as we have until we want to sit down and record the show. Once we start recording the show, then, like, that's off and this should be cleared off.
Hey, Ren! The camera's on! Joy!
I hate you, Stimpy.
Hey, extra points if you can guess what words we are trying to spell out. No, this is a trick. It's a disguise. We are not actually reviewing Hangman, although it is, I mean, for all the hate it might get, it is somewhat of a perennial classic.
Thank God.
What, that they no longer... I don't even know if they make this game anymore.
But there's probably a reason for that. Because
Vincent Price is dead.
They invented paper.
Oh,
and writing surfaces. This game is made up of dashes. So on a blank surface.
It teaches Morse code, sir. That's an important skill in this day and age, I think.
You fill the dashes with letters, which I understand is also how Morse code works. I hate everything. Hi, I'm James Kirk, one of the hosts of the Bodhana-cast. We're not sure for how much longer.
Why, are you being replaced?
I hope not.
I mean, it's me.
Yeah, and then this...
Tall drink of water.
This is Jack Berkenstock, the executive director of the Bodhana Group, and the other host of the Bodhana-cast, Gaming with Intention, presents Behind the Screen. We've got to do something about this title.
I have a dream, James, and that dream is to have like an 80-foot-long banner that says all of the introduction.
BG hyphen GWI:BTS.
Man, don't talk about my colon. That's not cool.
This feels like it should be one of those government acronyms that they put on a form that you have to fill out for something. Like something my wife would get at work.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
That you have to deal with. So for reals, today, behind the screen, we are going to use this particular show to discuss not a board game, but an RPG.
Ooh.
Not a rocket-propelled grenade.
That would be dangerous.
I made that joke last time.
That was... hey, we're consistent.
Yes.
It's a running gag.
I'm going to make that RPG joke many, many times over many, many episodes.
Thank you, Commandant.
My honey.
So... That is correct. We are basically, if you're new to the Gaming with Intention, our whole goal here is to discuss games in tabletop format through an educational, therapeutic, and skill building lens. So it's kind of a unique version of a review show, and we actually really enjoy when we get to do the behind the screen episodes. You're going to see a lot more of them in the coming episodes because
we're helping.
You ask Scott me no questions, I'll tell you no lies. How does that relate to our topic today, James?
It doesn't.
Okay, so
I'm just kidding. So
my ass got me into a lot of trouble?
Yes, so
Okay.
Today, jinkies, Jack. Today, we are going to be discussing a simple RPG called Meddling Kids, and/or How to Almost Get Away with It.
Very nice, very nice.
Meddling Kids is really at the bottom of the book, bottom of the cover, explains it beautifully. It is a introductory role-playing experience, which Jack and I really thought was important when we do these early behind-the-screen episodes. We really want to introduce you guys to some role-playing games that are not like crunchy and heavy on the rules. And, you know, the book is like this thick and it comes 600 pages with an appendix that explains to you how to use the book.
Yeah, Dungeon Crawl Classics, for example, is an awesome, awesome system that is great for retro feel. You drop that on your foot, you're in for trash.
Oh, God!
That's a heavy book. But yeah, one of the big things about the Bodhana Group, and one of the big services that we specialize in offering, is therapeutic use of RPG. And again, like James said, we're not trying to disparage any of the major companies out there. I mean, when most people think role-playing games, they think Dungeons & Dragons, they think Pathfinder, they think, you know, some other games like Shadowrun, Vampire the Masquerade, you know, all kinds of different systems like that. Thanks, Scoob. But what we want to try to focus on, especially in the context of these episodes, is we want to introduce folks to, you know, systems that you may not have heard about that have some very unique potential mechanics in the way that they're built. I guess that's a good way to phrase it.
Yeah, everybody has to start somewhere. And while there's certainly RPGs out there that might be more readily recognizable name-wise, like they have a name brand, they carry it. If you're wearing Lee jeans, then everybody knows where they came from because that's a that's a manufacturer that everybody's aware of.
Game?
No, I'm saying if you're wearing Lee jeans, I was doing it was a clothing metaphor.
Gotcha.
Lee jeans for the comfortable fit in you, on you, in you is.
Is that actually the? Is that actually the?
No, I completely made that up.
No,
I totally made that up.
Now I'm just naming jeans.
Wrangler, real tough jeans.
We've got to stop hanging out because we both thought about Wrangler.
Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Speaking of Brett Favre, who is not playing, however, welcome back, NFL. Go Colts.
I got a rock.
I feel confident that we will solidly be in third place in our division this year. Meddling Kids.
Yes.
We wanted to do RPGs that if you're looking for a way to experience the hobby without having a lot of stuff to read, I think it's probably the best way to do it. Character sheets that have all kinds of things on them. Some people can get intimidated by that kind of a daunting thing just to get into a game. Yeah. And the games that we want to introduce first are not only extremely accessible,
yeah, they're kind of,
but they're also like family oriented.
Yep, and also rules light.
That's what the accessible part was.
Ah, I got you.
I mean, like a key,
like a skeleton key.
Tell them about the game, Jack.
Okay, so Meddling Kids is a game that is put out by Pandahead Productions. It was produced in the year 2004. The central designer is Allison Brooks. You can actually still get this game online if you go to Pandahead, and we'll be sure to put the link in there. And actually, here's something kind of special, because Allison and Brett, lovely couple I've met on multiple occasions, actually autographed this here copy of Meddling Kids.
Hold on.
Awesome.
You know the people that made this?
Laxalore, yes I do!
Why aren't they here?
Because they don't live in York, Pennsylvania.
That's fair.
Okay.
Continue.
So, of course, the name of this episode of Bodhana-cast is Zoinks because of Meddling Kids. So I guess the whole spirit of the game is basically you're a bunch of spirit skeletons.
Oh,
We're going to get them all out, folks. So you're a bunch of young mystery solvers, and basically,
Can you be old mystery solvers?
You can be a little bit older on the teen spectrum. That's fine.
No, I mean, like, maybe you're like, what if it was Meddling Kids, but by kids, like, the kids were the ones committing the crimes, and it was a team of, like, geriatric, like, retirement home people, like a Morgan Freeman-led squad of mystery solvers.
And we would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you meddling codgers. Do people still use codger?
We could.
Oh, my Lord. So... The essential thing is it is kind of like an episode of Scooby-Doo, and actually there's a lot of very unique ways that the game brings that to a pretty good conclusion. So, you know, one of the unique factors about Meddling Kids is that with your little group, you actually have what is called a wild card character, and this is basically, it's your Scooby, your Gentleman Ghost, your, oh my gosh, I'm trying to think, like Goober, from Goober and the Ghost Chasers. Basically, you're talking...
The monkey from Ghostbusters.
Sure, if we want to admit that Ghostbusters actually existed.
Apparently it did, because I mentioned it, and you knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, there's a live action and an animated.
The monkey from Ghostbusters.
Tracy is the name of the monkey from the Ghostbusters.
Yes, he was the monkey that was in the Ghostbusters cartoon.
Ask your parents? But the wild card in this case is like a buddy you have, like your Scooby, and it basically hangs with you, helps you out. It's a talking whatever you would want it to be, and actually the players around the table kind of help to collaborate and make what your wild card is going to be. So your basic stats are strength, moves, smarts, and health. It's a point buy system. You want to talk a little bit about point buys and how those are beneficial?
Yeah, so point buy systems are actually something that I really enjoy in RPGs. I like them a lot better than the randomized, like, dice rolling systems. There are a lot of times where, like, and I guess I could use this as an example, for Dungeons and Dragons, like, you have 6 different stats on your sheet that you have to somehow generate. And they're, like, your physical and mental and emotional makeup for the character. But when you generate them, you can roll 6-sided dice and kind of add them together, but there's a very random element in that. And there's a lot of jokes that have been made about the old system, which really didn't forgive this at all. You know, where you're like, I want to play a fighter. Like, well, your strength is an 8.
Yeah.
But I wanted to play a fighter. Well, your strength is an 8. You know, so in point buy systems, what this allows you to do is you have a pool of points that you can buy for points that you can spend to buy things. You know, buying the points, you have them. They're in a pool. It's in your backyard. It's great.
You're skipping.
Thank you. So then you can spend the points out of your pool to be able to basically enhance whatever you want on the character, to make it so that it's more of the point buy system. Essentially allows you to enhance whatever you want to enhance on the character. You could, you know, focus on the areas that you want to focus on. And just understand, much like real life, you're not going to be good at everything.
Yeah,
There's
and that's okay.
If you're the jock, like, you're going to have good physical stats, maybe not so much on the social. Like, maybe you're a crappy person.
Yeah.
Like a Steve Stifler.
Very nice.
Finch! That's probably about as technical as I'm going to want to get for the game.
So I mean... Yeah, so you have the different points that you have to buy your attributes, but then you also have special abilities that you can get, and you have 26 points to spend on that. So total, there's 50 points that you get to spend on your character, kind of split up as they are. And the basic idea is you basically roll 3d6, add your attribute or your skill to that roll.
For the reference, also for your reference, when we say D6,
oh yeah,
we mean a 6-sided die. Think of the dice that you get in most board games, like Monopoly, things like that. It's 6 sides, each one of them has a number.
That's a good point. That's some of that.
That's what D6. Yeah, that's that game. You know, sometimes you hear and you're like, wow, they must be speaking.
D20. You have a lot of D.
Yeah.
So the basic idea is that you want to, with your total, meet or beat the difficulty rating of any kind of challenge that you have. And basically, you have modifiers with some of your skills, and we'll talk about that when we talk about some of the skills. In this game, there aren't really quote-unquote hit points. You take damage, you get bonked, a la cartoon style. You're kind of like... boom. And when you take more damage than what your health stat is, you basically sit out for a couple rounds, and then you magically come back in, of course wearing the same clothes that you always wear, because it is set in kind of a cartoon dealio.
So there is no death.
No death. No death. No matter how shaky Old Man Withers at the amusement park is. Yeah. So... it sounds kind of pretty basic. You have your stats which represent, typically it's physical, mental, emotional, or social. That's usually where most of your stats kind of come in. One of the interesting things, and this is one of our first kind of distincts, is that when you go to make up your character, you're going to first start out making a character that is based on an archetype. So the way that they do archetypes in this game, and James actually mentioned one of them, which is the jock. So some of these...
That was foreshadowing?
That was for... Ooh. If it's double as good, is it 8 shadowing? So, moving on, we have characters like the jock, the fluff, the brain, the goof, the temper. The temper, yes, the emotionally driven character.
The temper sounds like a villain on an episode of The Tick.
Jimmy Carter, I believe in you. Okay, Arthur. The Horn of Destiny, I've gotta go. So the idea, and one of the things that I really like about this is not only do they represent a lot of those sort of Hanna-Barbera, because that was like a thing back in the 70s and 60s, when, you had a crew of like ragtag adolescent or child misfits, usually with a talking whatever, whether it was Speed Buggy or a shark that sounded like Curly and played the drums for some...
Are you talking about Jabberjaw?
Yes, the most futuristic shark you ever saw.
Oh my god.
But one of the interesting things about this, and this is kind of one of the little therapeutic hangers we're going to kind of put in here, is let's think about this from the opportunity. These are social archetypes. So, whether we're talking, an episode of Scooby-Doo or an episode of Josie and the Pussycats, all the way up to, Square Pegs, 80s Plug, Civic and Sphere, all the way going to like Breakfast Club, also 80s, any kind of teen drama, Freaks and Geeks, whatever. There are archetypes, and these archetypes, exist for a reason. Yes, they are somewhat based on, maybe just surface detail, but it gives you a unique opportunity to help a person explore a social role. So if we're talking about a brain, well, how does that brain represent themselves?
Right.
Is it a Velma Dinkley, or is it like, kind of a, I know all these cool things because I'm hip to the internet, or, whatever it might be.
And it's fun to have inspirations like that to be able to draw from to start to bring your character to life, at least in your head. To put pen to paper to, like, kind of flesh it out. You could be watching an episode of, like, Dallas or Murder, She Wrote. And if you are, then it has nothing to do with this game.
Yeah, you are laying on the 80s thick. That's a lot of marmalade. So, those are basically what your basic character archetypes are, and very obviously they're based on existent properties. So, in addition to that, there's a couple other ways that Meddling Kids is very different as a system. One, with any episode that comes out, you basically have this option of building traps to defeat a monster. This is one of the really cool features about Meddling Kids because, if you remember, even like, what was the latest, like, Mystery Incorporated, where Fred was, like, obsessed with traps to the degree of it almost being, like, a mental illness. But think of the creativity, because you're basically, like, the trap's difficulty is the strength and health of the monster. So the idea is, you use smarts to decide how many steps the trap has, and you can make it as goofy as you want. Throw shower curtains, those old things, I don't know what they're called, but those old things that, like, you push down on them and they push air out to, like, stoke a fire. They're in every Rube Goldberg device. Irons going down a ladder, dressing like flight attendants who would have no place being in a haunted house. All of...
What is that beautiful smell? Well, since this morning, I've been baking a giant pancake. What we're gonna do?
But But this is one of those other kind of fun things that, again, really speaks to the property being, an introduction to role-playing, that you can be goofy, you can be kind of silly. And exploring that is basically roll 2d6, add the number of trap steps that you added, meet or beat the monster number, you defeat and capture the monster, then you get to unmask him. Hopefully he's wearing a mask, otherwise it's, under this mask he's just a neck and some tendons. It's like, oh,
it's a man!
Yeah. That was the original design for the Supernatural Scooby-Doo crossover episode. I'm glad that they shifted away from that. But that's not all. There's also a couple of other things. One cool element is called Kid Points. It's an optional rule. It's very similar if you tuned into our first Behind the Screen episode where we talked about No Thank You Evil. These are kind of like cool points, where you basically get to help out a buddy by spending Kid Points. Now here's the thing. It's a pool, but you cannot take the points for yourself. They must be given to you by your teammates, which is awesome. Basically,
sharing only!
Oh, snap, that's like good Madison stuff. No?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Then we also have chase scenes. So this is a special thing that if you fail a smarts roll, the monster can start chasing the players. They can use any sort of skill creatively to distract the monster. This also goes back to the whole, man, you're just in time for the food. Like one of those kind of distractions.
Right, I'm hungry.
Think hairdressers, singers, magicians. One of my favorites was when Scooby and Shaggy went into a TV for the Wolfman episode, and they were doing like a fake children's show, and I'm like, the monster is incredibly doping to fall for Uncle Funny or whatever the heck this show was.
A hallway with 10 doors. And you can't get out of it.
I don't know, but in my mind, all I can think of, but maybe you have the same memory as we kind of, because those are most of the big things. We're going to go into our possible side effects, but I keep hearing, Pretty Mary Sunlight, she's all right for me. You remember that? It's Davy Jones, okay, maybe I should stop. I'm getting very caught up. I have the Boomerang extension for Amazon. I've been watching a lot of Scooby-Doo lately. Even Scrappy. And in a weird twist, we had the Hangman box there with the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, which starred Vincent Price.
No.
No. Thriller, 80s?
I don't care about Hangman. Hangman does not
I can't get him on the Hangman train.
A board game box. Watch.
But it's Vincent Price in a cowboy hat.
Hold on.
Oh, wait a minute. That looks like... You don't say.
I am now ready to play Hangman. That took about 8 seconds.
What are the words you got there, James?
Fill in the blanks.
Okay, we'll ship this up here, and obviously, fact off. So, going into our next segment, we're going to talk about, as we usually do, some warnings for you all out there, because no existing practice, be it therapeutic, recreational, or whatever, is not without its warning. I only have one pair of glasses to take off dramatically.
Well, then I guess we should get to the warnings.
Yeah! Is that the warning?
No, that was the
We need help.
CSI Miami.
CSI. I got it. Nice. Who are you? So our first side effect. Do you want to start us off, or do you want me to?
Purchasing a groovy windowless van. By the way, if you need a wizard airbrushed on the side of your van, riding a unicorn, stabbing a dragon, and eating a Hershey bar.
Why a Hershey bar?
I no longer know that guy.
Oh. Yeah. I should cancel
Can't help you.
I should cancel that order.
Can't help you.
One of the cool side effects to this game is you might wind up meeting the Harlem Globetrotters, Don Knotts, or Sandy Duncan. Pretty Mary Sunlight, she's alright for me.
She's picking up the apple.
No, Randy Newman was not on the Scooby-Doo movies. Speaking of which, we're going to break the side effect.
How great would that be? If you're doing the hallway thing, and it's just Randy, like, and then they run to the other side, and then they run to the right.
It would be a fast one. I mean, the door 1, into door 3, door 4, into door 7.
Checkmate.
There's only 10, so there's no 11. I broke James. Can I please do the next one?
And now they're standing in front of Randy.
They're pulling off my face. Ow. Ow. Ow.
It's my real face.
That's life. Boom, boom, boom. All right, Tom Hanks set to play. Actually, we're going to play Mr. Rogers. But,
right.
Okay. Are you okay if I read the next one as well?
All right.
So, one of your players might wind up playing the same character in this role-playing game for 50 years. Sincerely, as a longtime fan of Scooby-Doo, I do want to say thank you to Fred Jones Welker, who not only, because this also, he would have a special place in your childhood as well, he also is the voice of Megatron. He was the voice of Ray Stantz from the Ghostbusters cartoon. I mean, Frank Welker, you pretty much voiced my childhood. And without you, I wouldn't be able to hold maybe 25% of the conversations that I do, because I speak mostly in pop culture references.
Also, as a doctor's note, if at any point during your game somebody starts exclaiming puppy power, immediately go to the emergency room or call 911, as these could be the beginning onset symptoms of scrappyitis annoying us.
Yeah, we cannot state enough how dangerous it would be if any of that is infectiously bad.
Can't do it.
Yeah, I couldn't get out of bed for weeks. And final, please do not attempt to pull the face off of someone at the table or anyone in general who you feel is involved in a nefarious plot. That could be quite what? Don't stop looking at me like that, man.
Like Randy.
So real quick, before we go into, because obviously a lot of the skills that we talk about, we sort of spoke about a couple of them, but, so if they are actually reducing, for those of you tuning in, they are doing a new Scooby series, which is going to again...
I heard that. That was one of the reasons we wanted to talk about this.
Because again, I pretty much watched every single iteration of Scooby-Doo since it came out, which is amazing that, literally, it's a 50-year-old property. It's like Doctor Who at this point.
Ooh.
But, yeah, that was like episode 7. Callbacks, Birdman!
All right.
So, being that they're going to be reinitiating this, who besides Randy Newman, which I think if that doesn't happen at this point, a lot of people out there, all 12 listeners, are going to be very upset. 11. Crap.
I'd like to believe we have 15.
Yeah. Who would you like to have as a special guest?
Like Newman would only be like the musical guest.
The musical, he would sing the Chase song.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But celebrity, who would you like to see on it?
So, if there was a Scooby gang and they met up with a celebrity mystery solver for that week,
yeah,
who would it be?
That is the question, sir. Would you like to call a lifeline?
Tommy Lee Jones.
Really? I gotta hear. Okay.
Like playing his character from The Fugitive, or like U.S. Marshals.
So you're deputizing the Scooby Crew for this.
He is the hard-boiled, badass cop that they meet up with. It's no nonsense, and these kids are fumbling around while they're trying to solve the mystery. And he's got it figured out 15 minutes ago, but the kids just keep insisting on adding another layer of thing to whatever it is they're doing. And he's fine, and just walks off screen. But every episode that Tommy Lee Jones is in, They have to be going after Javier Bardem.
Okay. Because I was just thinking, well, I think, gang, that we can come up with a groovy trap if you. I don't care. That would be. Oh wow, doubt. I will have to go, of course, with one of my old standbys for Gaming of Intention. This is because I've been watching copious amounts of Taxi lately. Again, gearing up for Save Against Fear in the 80s.
Sure.
I've been 85 lately, but I would have to go with Christopher Lloyd again. I think
it's funny that we both picked older actors. Like, we didn't go with anybody younger.
Who's this Channing Tatum you're talking about? I don't know. The young kids love him.
Is it too meta to have in one of the upcoming episodes of the new Scooby-Doo?
Us?
To have no.
That would be great.
We're not famous enough for that.
Are we internet famous?
I would like to, like, is it too meta to have Jensen Ackles and, like, have them on, not as Sam and Dean, but, like, as themselves on an episode? Like, would that...
That would be pretty awesome.
I think that would be
like, your voice is kind of familiar.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
right.
That would be neat.
So, we'll talk, as we normally do, about a lot of the skills that this works on. Now,
right. Time to get serious.
Time to get serious. Now, bear in mind, though, a lot of times, specifically with role-playing games, a lot of the skills that we're going to focus on for a role-playing game are kind of, to some degree, innate to most to all role-playing games. I mean, one of those pretty much primarily is social skills. You see a lot of articles on the web, a lot of research is being done about the use of role-playing games, specifically with folks with social anxiety or social skills deficits, challenges perhaps from the autism spectrum. So, I mean, the social skills is kind of one of those automatics, I guess you could kind of say, right?
Many of the skills that we're going to talk about here on the BC, presented by the TBG, giving you GWI, colon, BTS.
Lord.
The social skills. Yes. We remember this game, much like other RPGs, is labeled TTP. Talk to people.
Yeah.
You have to. It's a social game. Be social. Try to be social. If you're not social, then you're playing the awkward person in the group.
Well, and I mean, taking social skills a little bit further, I mean, social skills plays into a lot of other different ways that RPGs are therapeutic.
Just like I'm awkwardly staring at the camera right now.
What are you doing? Is that your it's time to get serious, like your liver on the highway tear moment? Hey, that's actually 70s. Yes. But, I mean, with social skills, the social archetypes, we talked about a little bit earlier, but one of the very big vestiges of all this, when we talk about therapeutic use of role-playing games, is the idea of perspective taking. Is the idea of stepping into a character, stepping into a role. So, what if, just one of the possible uses is playing this with kids who are like, 10 to 12, right before they kind of go in and enter into, junior high school, middle school, whatever it is that you call it. You get the opportunity to kind of play, what is a brain like? Are you a brain? Well, then play a jock. What does a jock kind of seem like? And part of this perspective taking and looking at other roles is a way that we help explore other people in our world, because we're not the only person that's in our world. So, I mean, that's one of those things that I think, whether you're playing a cleric or a fighter or a spy or a street samurai or whatever, I mean, every role-playing game.
There's street samurai in this game?
Yeah, if you want them to be.
Holy crap! Meddling shadow.
But yeah, role-playing games, I mean, we talk also about like critical thinking and creativity being a part of it. I really do think that one of the hallmarks of this game is the creativity and expression aspect. And that critical, because you're thinking of like kind of goofy, silly ways to catch the bad guy. Not to mention the fact that you do in the game, I mean, it actually comes with a nice setup adventure about a theft in a museum. And one of the cool things about this is you do set the stage to find clues along the way and uncover the mystery. So that's not only is that critical thinking in terms of the player who's going through the adventure, but also the creative thinking and the connected logic of developing that. I mean, we've run more than our fair share of games over the time.
I have run a couple.
Yeah, just a few.
Yeah.
I mean, what all goes in to developing a mystery?
So, what you really want to have when you're building a mystery.
I'm gonna get ready, building up a mystery, finding all the clues, building up a mystery, whatever can we do?
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, go ahead, tell us about
Randy
mysteries,
Newman.
Randy Newman.
So when you're building a mystery, you really do want to have your beginning and end really solid. Because the characters are actually going to provide the middle. They're going to give you how you get to the end from the beginning. But you need to know, like, who done it, why they done it, and then, some idea of how it has affected the other characters in your mystery, the other NPCs, the characters that your players are going to interact with. Like, they all have to be part of this tight storyline that you're in. There's certainly room for, as a GM, to kind of improv it a little bit and to be able to, to be able to go on the fly. But you really want to have a solid idea of, like, why this person did the thing, who the person is, what they plan to get out of it, if they had an alibi for it, or they fabricated an alibi, stuff like that. Like, obviously, we don't need to get that deep into it for Meddling Kids, but I mean, if you're talking about creating a mystery or some kind of game like that, you really need to have those kind of details in place before you start introducing it. That's not the kind of stuff that you just throw in because...
it can get a little complicated. And one of the cool things also, any GM will tell you that a lot of what you're going to do in this, and this is really no stranger in this arena, this game, that a lot of what you do as a GM is, let's kind of get into what some of the new spirit of RPG has been, which is that really collaborative storytelling. And you're building a cool story. You're developing this narrative. It's not... I win if I kill all the players off of me. First of all, there is no death in Meddling Kids, so you'll fail!
Except for my game.
What? Murdering kids. That's horrible, James.
Well, it's a cartoon game, and I've brought dip.
And we're back to Christopher Lloyd! I love you!
Say how I made that work!
Remember what I told your brother, Eddie? I talk just like this! Iron daggers. Can't tell at all that James and I love cartoons, can you?
Nope.
But no, whether you're looking at a cool game to play within the family, whether you're looking for a very cool acquisition for younger players to grasp onto this hobby, because the other cool thing is there's not a whole ton of math to do in this game. So it's not only an accessible system to run for kids, it's also very, very awesome for kids to run as a good introduction. Because again, let's look at the plot elements of a Scooby-Doo episode. We're not talking War and Peace here, okay? It's not, as the best of Scoobies, it was the worst of Scoobies, a tale of two ghouls or something. It's a very simple, straightforward plot format, but that familiarity lends itself to making it different a little bit each time and to enhancing that creativity to write it out, which, also making up the character, the storyline. It's a great bit of fun. It's also a game that we've run in the past at our Save Against Fear convention, which, for a reminder, we want to again thank Legendary Pants, one of our sponsors, for Save Against Fear this year, which will be October 12th through the 14th at the Harrisburg East Mall in the old Boss Gods location.
Cheers, Legendary Pants.
Thou art legendary. But no, sincerely, they're a phenomenal sponsor. They're actually helping us with a lot of our Adventures League content. And man, we're over 100 sessions for the weekend. It's our annual fundraiser. It's going to be a whole host of a lot of fun. So as usual, for that, or any other information that you want about the Bodhana Group and our various services, which include board game activities, board game events, therapeutic role-playing sessions, and individual one-to-one therapy. We offer all kinds and manner of treatment. Just go to www.thebodhanagroup.org to find out information of us, or you can check us out on Facebook at the Bodhana Group, Bodhana. And I guess that'll actually bring me to one of my quickest goodbyes ever.
Also, if you'd like to see more shows of Gaming with Intention,
yes.
you can find us on the Wicked Turtle Network.
Yep.
Wicked Turtle Productions. Thanks, guys. You can also look us up as TBG presents GWI BTS TTP XP
ASAP.
KP.
KP, what? KP and the Sunshine Band?
Ah. So,
Every day, meatball. That's Sly and the Family Stone.
that is Slime
It
Family
is.
stuff. Ask your parents.
Yes, ask your parents.
So till next time, when we have something in front of us that is gamey, not like a meat, but like a game that can be played that we will talk about, and hopefully we will see you at Save Against Fear 8.
Yes.
Back to the 80s. Love it when a con comes together. Come for the bathrooms and stay for the games.
For the last time, that is not the... I thought it was come for the games, stay for the bathrooms.
Come for the bathrooms.
James' hookup on...
There's also games.
So there's a plumbing ghost now, and he's going to... There's money in those pipes! Gold bullion! Hey, that's a plot you can use.
Going to the bathroom.
Sincerely, folks.
Gonna play myself some games.
Thank you all for tuning in this week to Gaming with Intention, the Bodhana-cast. I am Jack Berkenstock, one of your hosts.
I'm Randy.
Seriously, Randy Newman, if you by any chance see this and you like it, please, we would love for you to do a little theme song. Actually, we're working on a theme song, sincerely. Some cool stuff to be coming down, but we got tons of games to review.
Lots of things to talk about.
Yes, yes.
You may actually see, or, well, not see, but hear Jack and I in a future audio-only podcast
Yes.
that we're not going to talk about yet.
Not yet. Wink.
Good night, everybody.
Great games out there, folks. Y'all be well.
Bathrooms.